Good afternoon, everybody. I'm hoping you can all hear and see me okay. But just want to welcome you to today's webinar, Prime for Peak with Party Delights. So we're going to get started in a moment, but just a bit of housekeeping. So this webinar will be recorded. We'll send it to you all afterwards. So if you want to share it with anyone or watch any highlights, then you'll have that copy for you. We've got a questions box on the side. So if you have any questions, pop them in there and we can go through that at the end. We've also had some pre-recorded questions sent in with the registration, so we'll answer those first as well. And if we run out of time, we'll just get back to you afterwards. Also feel free to pop any thoughts or insights in the chat as well. So just to introduce myself, I'm Mary, I'm from Adobe, working in the commerce team. So I'm working with customers to help grow their platform and their e-commerce site and support their journey with Adobe. So I work with the likes of Party Delights. So we've got Claire on the call and Duncan as well from one of our Adobe partners. So we work very closely with both these guys. So on that note, I'm going to pass over to Claire and Duncan to introduce themselves and the businesses as well. So Claire, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. So I'm Managing Director of Retail for the Wonder Group. Party Delights is one of our brands, so a UK-based e-commerce brand. We specialise in all things party and celebration with over 20,000 SKUs online. We've been working with the Gene guys now, so Duncan and the team, for about 18 months on our website redevelopment platform redevelopment project to move us onto the Adobe Commerce platform.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, guys. So yeah, I'm Duncan, head of client services here at Gene. We are an Adobe Commerce agency specialising in strategy and development for Adobe Commerce merchants. We've been doing it for 10 years, way back in the Magento days. And the type of work that we typically do for clients like Party Delights is either build and re-platform projects, like the one we're gonna talk a little bit more about today, or helping businesses overcome technical debt or challenges from poor implementation. And then from there, we typically work with our clients on an ongoing support basis. And also helping our clients to define and execute on their roadmaps. Yeah, and as Claire said, we've been working with the Party Delights team for 18 months now on their re-platform to Adobe Commerce. So far, that's included obviously all the initial kind of platform and integration work, but also the rollout of the B2B and B2C sites in the UK and in Ireland, and coming next, we've got the further European rollout as well. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks both. So we've just heard a little bit from Duncan about your re-platform to Adobe Commerce. Claire, can you start by telling us about the key factors in that decision?
Yeah, sure. So it was part of a bigger digital transformation project within our group. So within the Wonder Group, we've got a number of different e-commerce websites and brands mainly across the UK and Europe, although some further afield as well, serving both B2C and B2B. So whilst B2C is definitely our primary business, we also do have a number of wholesale brands, and ultimately we wanted to bring everything together onto one unified platform. So for that, it was really important that we had a platform that we were able to scale and able to keep flexible, and that had the strength in both the B2B and the B2C capabilities, and really give us that ability to expand further globally. And also particularly we wanted a platform that was going to enable us to develop really kind of best-in-class features and functionality at speed as well, to really kind of keep us at the forefront and make us stand out from the crowd.
Thanks, Claire. Well, Duncan, it sounds like you and the team had quite a challenge on your hands then. So how did you approach the build and what were your big focus areas?
Yeah, so in terms of approach, our way of working was obviously key. So we work in a modified form of agile that focuses on collaboration. That's both internally and externally. So we obviously worked really close with Claire and the Party Delights team right from the very start. So that was really key. In terms of kind of customer experience, there's a couple of key areas that we were really focused on. The first one being mobile experience, particularly at the checkout. So that was something that we spent a lot of time through the design process looking at. And then secondly, from a customer experience point of view, product discoverability was really key. So Claire's already mentioned the large SKU count. So it was important both in terms of the category structure, but also the search, merch and recommendation solution, that we could get the right products in front of the right customers. And then I guess lastly, in terms of technology, we've mentioned that it's not just the UK that we're talking about here. There's lots of other sites in lots of other markets. So it was really important that when we were planning and when we were looking at technology partners, we weren't just talking about one or two sites here. We were talking about many more than that. So it was important through the planning and key decisions that we made early on in the project that we had that in mind, and that we worked really closely with the Party Delights team on making those key early decisions, which we knew were going to be a big factor for years to come.
Great. So needless to say that choosing the right tech stack is very important. How did you leverage other technology partners to help create a seamless customer experience for Party Delight customers?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of agencies, our partner network is really key in that respect, both with you guys at Adobe, but also technology partners like Clearview as well. And we've had really good success working together over the years, combining all of our experience and all of our expertise to provide value for merchants. And it's really having those relationships. It's what gives us the confidence really in your expertise, but also we know with the likes of Clearview, we have access to that support if we do need it as well, which is really key. And I must say, throughout this whole process, the Clearview team were fantastic in that respect.
Great. And Claire?
I think you muted yourself, Claire.
Sorry.
rather
keep the background noise down.
Yeah,
yeah, I'll start again, shall I? So yeah, Party Delights, we operate in a reasonably niche category with party supplies, but at the same time quite a large SKU base as well. So we really rely on selling customers a vision of their party, I guess, rather than just individual products. So for that reason, it was really good for those reasons. It was really key for us to find the right partner, both for search, but also particularly for merchandising. That was really key to give us that capability to help customers build baskets, because for us in our business, that's what it's all about. We have to build that AOV and that basket size and show customers exactly what the party should look like. So we did very much lean on Jean and the experience of Duncan and the team to make that decision. I couldn't be happy with the recommendation of Clearview. AOV was one of the key KPIs for the project. We kept it very simple, but AOV was one of the key ones. And we've seen some really fantastic uplifts, both from the recommendations, but particularly from the basket upsell, which we've never been able to do before. So it's really helped us to offer our customers a better service. And as Duncan said as well, it really makes a difference when you've got you're working with someone that Jean's worked with before. They know them, they've got that great relationship. They're a key partner of Adobe as well. So having that quick support and that ability to really, I guess, utilise the best of the platform and capabilities has been really key.
Yeah, and just to build on what you were saying there, Claire, with regards to Clearview, we've obviously worked with them numerous times before. Complete confidence in the technology, both from a functionality point of view, but also integration wise as well. But because we've worked with them before, because we've implemented their technology with other clients, we also know that it works, which is obviously key. So when we launched with Party Delights, we saw a 22% increase in conversion rate for search users year on year. So that kind of further validates that decision and that partnership that we've got together.
Great. Okay, so before we move on, what would you say was the biggest learning from this re-platform project? Duncan, let's start with you.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I'll go first. So with projects like this, and Party Delights was no different. There's a couple of key things. Firstly, I probably want to call out that it's really important not to forget the fundamentals. So when you're planning up front, things like SEO, for example, whether that's redirects, hreflang, or Core Web Vitals, those kind of things, they all need to be planned in properly, and the work around those needs to be planned in properly, and given proper consideration. It's tempting, obviously, with a new build to get excited by new functionality and new features or new design templates, but it's some of those fundamentals that can really make or break a launch and a migration. So it's really important that that's given due consideration, which we obviously had to do here. And then, yeah, it's agile delivery really that will work really well for us in this instance, and why we work in this way. It helped us break things down into more manageable chunks, both for us and as a development team, but also for the client as well. And we had an agile rollout as well. So that kind of staggered delivery meant that we could apply learnings, we could de-risk and avoid that big bang approach really. So that was really key, that staggered approach, so we could apply learnings as we went along.
Yeah, and I think, I guess to build on that as well. So for us, the agile approach worked really well. That was, we didn't want the big bang. We didn't want this platform redevelopment to take 2 years. We wanted to be able to get an MVP up and running and live so we could test and learn from that. But it did make the planning of that really, really critical. I think that's probably one of my biggest takeaways. And to be fair, like the Gene team, they held our hands through that. It's not something we're used to doing every day. But to have their knowledge and experience of having done agile rollouts multiple times before, it really helped us know where to focus and how to plan the resources in the sprint. So yeah, getting that planning right really meant that the agile approach could work for us. And then resources is probably the other big thing. I know Duncan mentioned there about getting the fundamentals right and things like SEO, and I'd say that's probably one of the things we did really well in the project. But absolutely, we had to make sure that we had those resources in our teams to really dedicate the time to get it right, so that you're not wasting all the time and effort that you've put in. And ultimately, the platform and the tools we've got are fantastic, but what you get out is only as good as what you put in. So really make sure you've got that time and the resources and the skill to get everything right.
That's some great tips there. So moving on to peak trading then, we've obviously just come off the back of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and many of the businesses are now coming up to their peak at the Christmas trading period. But interestingly, Party Delight's peak seasons are slightly different, aren't they, Claire?
Yeah, we're just recovering from our peak. So we're now winding down towards Christmas rather than winding up. So so it's quite nice. So for us as a party company, or party and fancy dress company, it's all about Halloween in the UK. Our big peak is in October. Still a small spike at Christmas, but mainly October. And then World Book Day, which is mainly kind of end of February, beginning of March. And then in Europe, slightly different again. So we have a huge season for Carnival, particularly in Germany, which tends to fall in February, and then Oktoberfest in September. So lots of seasonal spikes.
So it's peak all year round then.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, can you share some insights on how Party Delights prepares for manages for peak trading seasons, and maybe any specific challenges that you've encountered in the past?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'm going to reiterate it again. I've said it once, but planning is obviously key, as I'm sure every retailer would say exactly the same. Ultimately, trading trading stuff, planning tends to go out the window a little bit, but it's always good to start with something, start with a base and go in with a plan. But for us as an e-com retailer, it's all about making sure we're utilising the data that we've got. So sales data from previous years, analytics, paid search insights, market trends, and anything that gives us that key customer insight and gives us the areas to prioritise as well going into the season. And then from a technical point of view and operational actually as well, stress testing. So you can guarantee that if something's going to go wrong, it'll go wrong at the worst possible moment. So the best you can do is at least go in having prepared as much as you can with stress testing the website and everything, all the kind of the systems that you're going to need to be using, and operationally as well. And ultimately, even despite all that planning and testing and preparation, there'll always be something that goes wrong. So I think for us, we really like to make sure we've got that plan in place for escalation and for points of contact if something does happen, and we and that we have a plan for how we're going to deal with it and resolve as quickly as possible.
And Duncan, were there any unexpected challenges that you faced in the run up to peak, and how did the team overcome them and ensure that Party Delights were ready for that?
Yeah, so it's going to probably become a bit of a theme in some of our discussion here, but planning's obviously key. Claire's already mentioned it a couple of times. For us, in terms of our planning, we wanted to make sure we got the latest Adobe Commerce upgrade out nice and early ahead of peak, so that security and performance were covered. And that load testing that Claire mentioned as well around the website, the first peak period, the first Halloween peak that we'd gone into with this platform. So we wanted to make sure we'd done adequate load testing just to make sure, give us that extra layer of confidence, really. And then the other thing that's always key in the run up to any peak season is prioritization. So, it's crucial that you get as much impact driving features and functionality out before peak. And that was the case with Halloween as well here. We launched, for example, the new Klaviyo abandoned basket, abandoned cart flow in the run up to peak season for Party Delights. That was the priority thing that we were focused on. And we wanted to make sure that we prioritized the roadmap accordingly so we could get those impact driving things out before peak, obviously to maximize the impact and the investment that's gone into those tools and features.
So you mentioned upgrades there. Obviously, This is a key topic in the Adobe community. It's something I always hear from customers. So I know when we've spoken recently, it's been a bit of a focus of yours this year and a focus of Gene. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approach upgrades?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's seen as being quite a big challenge and something we've really invested a lot in this year. And developed a new approach that combines kind of both a planning approach and some new technology as well to help us be more efficient and to reduce the risk and disruption for merchants. So a few things we've done around that, around automated testing. So we've rolled out a suite of automated testing for our clients to help speed up timelines and reduce risk. And we've also worked really hard on our rapid deployment technology as well. But we're also running the next Adobe Commerce beta version in parallel with production as well as part of our prep. So that really enables us to minimize that disruption and means that we can focus on roadmaps, right? Which is the good stuff that we want to be getting on with.
Definitely. So after all that preparation, how was the performance in terms of website stability and in terms of trading?
Yeah, high level wins. Obviously, the platform and the infrastructure sailed through peak with flying colours, which was good. But the big one for us really as a team was the increasing conversion rate year on year. So we saw a 16% uplift in conversion rate, which we're obviously really proud of. I guess it's important to point out there's lots of smaller things that ladder up to that. So the Klaviyo search and merch functionality ensured that we were able to get more users to PDPs, to product pages than ever before. And we also saw a really good incremental uplift from the Klaviyo abandoned cart, abandoned basket emails that I referenced as well. So yeah, really pleased with the way things went over peak.
Yeah, and I think as is the case with most retailers at the moment, given the current economic conditions, trading is tough. Like it's not been an easy year for any of us. So certainly not going to sit here and say it's all been plain sailing. It's not. But I think if we'd not had the new platform and all the wins that we've had from the benefits of the redevelopment, then it certainly wouldn't have been as strong as it was. So yes, whilst trading was tough, we saw some incredible wins with, as Duncan's already mentioned, the uplift in conversion was a huge one. We also saw some big AOV increases as well, driven by a number of reasons. So firstly, we saw a really big increase from customers using Klarna and ClearPay, which were new payment methods to us this year. And then generally with the really strong uplift in payment wallets. So again, not something we've had before in terms of Apple Pay and Google Pay, but just makes it so much quicker and easier for the customers to check out. And that was a really big win. I'd probably say one of the biggest overall was generally the checkout experience and all those additional payment methods for customers. And then also AOV uplifts, as I've mentioned already, from the improved merchandising and upsells, particularly in the baskets. You know, we saw obviously costumes is a huge part of our business at Halloween, and we saw an incredible uplift from costume accessories, where we were upselling matching accessories to customers in the basket before they checked out. So all tools that we just didn't have at our disposal before, but we've seen some really great wins this year from those.
Well, they are some fantastic results there. Like you said, Claire, it's not always plain sailing. What were your biggest learnings? And is there anything you'd recommend to other retailers who might have struggled during the Black Friday and Cyber Monday period?
Yeah, I'll go first, I guess. It's really important to not forget the time that's needed for testing a new AT. Often when you're working to like a fixed deployment date, or your promotions can't move, your Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotions are going out, so the deployment can't move. It's tempting to squeeze that time for testing, but that testing is really important to ensure that you've got no usability issues when you do roll out the new features, or when you do launch a campaign or promotion. And another recommendation from us would be to utilize real-time monitoring. So we use New Relic as part of the Adobe Commerce platform. And that's really crucial for us understanding what's happening on our merchant sites, particularly around post-deployment as well. That's a big part of our post-deployment checks. So yeah, we would really recommend if merchants aren't already utilizing New Relic or equivalent, that you really do look at that and consider that as part of your stack.
Yeah, and I think I'd say exactly the same, really. I mean, for us, it's having the adequate checks and balances in place to make sure that you have got eyes on everything, no matter what time of the day or night, and that you can, at least any issues that do arise, because as I said before, nothing's ever 100% plain sailing, particularly when you have so much traffic coming through your site. That you need, and you can't possibly have eyes on every single page on your website every minute of the day. So having those tools in place and those general checks and balances to make sure that you can at least jump onto anything as soon as it comes up. And as Duncan said, New Relic is a key tool to us and has been for a long time actually, and obviously numerous other tools out there as well. So yeah, I definitely recommend making sure you have those checks and balances in place. And then also, I think it's really highlighted for me this season how important it is to work with partners that are genuine kind of partners that match up with your website platform. So for us, that's obviously making sure we're working with recognised Adobe partners. We really did see that difference between having issues with a tool or a piece of software that wasn't that didn't have that connection with Adobe, and how actually difficult it was to both from an integration point of view, but also to resolve issues, and how easy it was, as we've already said, with the likes of with Clevu, because Jean obviously know that tool really well, and it genuinely is made to work with Adobe. So yeah, making sure you're picking the right partners from that sense, it just made life so much easier during peak.
Great, thanks, Claire. So looking ahead then, I know it's nearly Christmas, you're in the midst of planning for 2024. What's in store for Party Delights next year?
Yeah, so for us, obviously we've done a lot of transformation this year, which has been fantastic. And looking back, I can't believe just quite how much we've done and how much we've managed to squeeze into this year. But for next year, it will all be about focusing on the remaining few projects, or the next few projects that are really going to deliver the best ROI. We need to have a bit of a year of stability and really making what we've got work for us. We've got as we've already said, we've seen some fantastic results from Magento and from Klaviyo and from some of our other tools, but there's so much more that we can do there. So continuing to test and use that data and that feedback from inside those systems to continue to grow and capitalise on the next opportunities. And then the few projects we do work on, it will all be about focusing on what's gonna deliver the best ROI, and really focusing our attention. And then some of the other, which I'm going to say this like the small things when they're not, but we will do a bit of continuation to improving that tech stack with a full rollout of Klaviyo, which Duncan's already mentioned, to really improve our email personalization again. And we'll also be continuing to roll out the Adobe platform as part of our wider digital transformation project within the group. We'll be continuing that rollout into our European businesses.
Exciting. And what about you, Duncan?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've touched on it there. There's no secret that for some merchants and in some sectors, 2024 could be a tough trading year. So as Claire's mentioned, it's about focusing on ROI. It's about, you know, working really closely with our clients to understand their objectives, and then kind of build the roadmaps around that. With Party Delights, as Claire said, a lot about test and learn, a lot about those kind of marginal gains and building on the platform that we've got. From a wider Gene perspective, we've done a lot of work in the last 18 months in the payment and checkout technology space, and that's going to continue into next year. So expect to see more from us in that area in the coming months. And Mary, I know you've been asking the questions, but it'd be great if it looks like we've got a little bit of time, whether you could just share an update on what's coming from Adobe and from Commerce next year. And then I think we've got Mairead from Klaviyo, I think, on as well. So if the technology allows, there we go, seamless. Look at that. If technology allows, we'll perhaps hear from Mairead as well on what's upcoming with Klaviyo for next year.
Great, thanks, Duncan. So in terms of Adobe Commerce, we've got lots of exciting changes and features coming up next year. Just to touch on a couple of things, because I can't say too much, but we've introduced a 3D imaging. I'm not sure if anyone's yet seen it, but this effectively allows you to modify the visual content supply chain using 3D technology to quickly generate photorealistic product imagery and engage 3D and AR experiences. It's a really cool feature. The customers that have started looking at this have been quite fascinated by it. If there's anyone that wants to see a demo of this afterwards, please reach out and we can show you this, because it's a really exciting new feature. We've also got App Builder. So this is a platform that does all the integration for you. So it's giving you that flexibility in extending Adobe Commerce and agility to integrate with third-party microservices or even building those microservices. So we're taking care of the hosting, the scaling, securing and running of all your apps. So it basically allows developers to focus on building a great customer experience without having to worry about all of that. So it's a really exciting time. There's loads more coming out next year, but I can't say too much now, but we should have a few events in the new year, which is when things are normally announced a bit more. So keep your eyes peeled, and yeah, we'll keep you updated with any future events.
Cool. Thanks, Mary. We're really excited about App Builder in particular, and have already started working on a few MVP projects there. So yeah, watch this space on that one as well. Mairead?
Amazing, yeah. So there's quite a lot of new features coming out next year at Klaviyo. I'm just going to touch on 3 for now. So the first is Moi, which is essentially a virtual AI assistant. So imagine kind of going into a store, having a two-way dialogue. You know, you're looking for a specific dress, you must be a specific size, you're looking for a specific occasion. So it's using kind of open AI, but within the context of the product catalog. So yeah, I think everyone knows AI is a big buzzword at the moment. I'm really happy that kind of we're able to be a part of it. Another thing as well is around Klaviyo. So we've already launched a kind of very deep integration with Klaviyo, whereby we send search data back to Klaviyo to send out like abandoned email, abandoned search campaigns. You can do kind of segmentation from Klaviyo within Klaviyo's recommendations. So it's just about enhancing and going deeper with that integration. So looking at kind of categories, how we might do that through content personalization, etc. And then the other thing as well, which I think will be great for Party Delight, is we are doing a big kind of re-architecture project at the moment from an indexing perspective. And what this will allow you to do is just really easily copy rules from one kind of store to another. So you're not kind of having to go in and replicate it out or import and export. So just making that a lot more streamlined and easy. So yeah, that's at Klaviyo.
I can't believe we got half an hour in and one of us didn't mention AI. So you've got the point there, Mairead, for coming in and mentioning AI.
The whole topic now.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, well, I think that kind of wraps up everything that we wanted to discuss today. So I'm going to jump into the questions that we got sent with the registration forms. But while I hand those questions over to Duncan and Claire, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we can answer those afterwards. So the first question we got, Duncan, I'm going to send this your way. What are the benefits you see from having one provider for power search, merchandising and recommendations rather than individuals?
Yeah, good question. So there's a couple of obvious but important things to mention. So obviously the fewer integrations, the more you reduce the risk, the reduced code and reduced code bloat, and obviously performance is a factor there as well. What I'm really excited to see on a kind of related note, and Mairead's just mentioned it there, is technology partners working really closely together when there's complementary offerings. So Klaviyo and Klaviyo integration is something we're really excited about building on next year with Party Delights, and that ecosystem and the way that the partners all work together really does help bring that added value of the partner network that we spoke about earlier.
No, definitely, completely agree with that. And another question we had sent in to us, Claire, I'm going to send this your way. Any business decisions that Klaviyo Insights have helped you make as a business?
Gosh, yeah, lots. Yeah, that's a really good question. So yeah, I think probably from a number of angles. So the search analytics, firstly, is probably what we've been using more than anything, and that really helps us to drive decisions on like what we're promoting to customers, when we're promoting, and also helps us to I guess inform our marketing and SEO plans as well as our on-site merchandising. So, for example, we brought forward our both our Halloween and our Christmas marketing. Actually, our initial, when we were initially starting to kind of go to market with some of those messages, we were so shocked by how early people were searching, more so than we've ever seen in the past, and it's been more data than we've ever really had access to as well. So because we were seeing such early searches, we started to put some promotions within the site and some more links and some early kind of social media, for example, to help customers find those products. I think another good example actually this year would be Barbie, as that was obviously huge with the film release. And as with a lot of retailers, we saw a huge amount of searches on our website for that. What was quite interesting was what people were searching for and what additional products they were looking for. It wasn't just Barbie search terms; it was anything that was pink and like cowboy hats, and it really helped us to build out a Barbie page and really merchandise in a way that we had the products that customers wanted to see. So no, that's been fantastic on the search side, and then just generally on the insights from Klaviyo, it's really helped us to be more targeted on the page and merchandising improvements, I guess, as well, where we're not quite seeing the results we would expect. And I think that's something that, again, as I was saying before, for next year, we really want to build on and improve more, because there is so much data there. And again, it's not something we're used to having, but it's absolutely fantastic what you can get out of there. And I know our Klaviyo account manager's been fantastic in talking us through that and helping us to understand some of those insights. So that's what we really want to get into and really mine next year for even better, more improvements on where we can merchandise the site better for our customers.
Fantastic. So the final question we had sent in, Duncan, if you're happy to answer this one, this is something that I often hear, and I think you'll all be interested to find the answer out for this one. So, Duncan, why Adobe Commerce and not Shopify or BigCommerce?
Cool. I'll take this one then. Thanks for that. We probably could do a whole hour webinar on this subject just in itself. But yeah, I mean, one of our key mantras at Gene is business before tech. So, you know, that means obviously when you're making a key decision, like picking a platform, that you put the needs of the business first and not let the tech dictate that decision. So then it's, you know, it's obviously important to assess what's right for your business, and what you're trying to achieve, and things like total cost of ownership, that kind of thing. But for us, Adobe Commerce gives merchants more control over code and customizations. Internationalization, which we've spoken a lot about today, Adobe still outperforms all the other platforms on that one. Scalability, definitely key, and Adobe is still kind of best placed on scalability and complex implementations as well. And then kind of last but by no means least, B2B. Still, the other platforms don't really measure up in terms of B2B capabilities. So for us, they're the kind of key reasons why we would pick Adobe Commerce, and why we feel that Adobe Commerce is still the standout partner in the market, with all those things considered.
Brilliant. No, that's a great answer. And like you say, we could go into far more detail about that.
Maybe we'll do that one next time.
Yeah. There we go. I've just seen a couple of people typing in the chat, so I just want to make sure we haven't got any other questions. So if you do have a question, pop it in the chat and we can answer that in the last few minutes.
Got the suspense.
There we go.
While we wait.
This looks like a question for you. Can you say a bit more about the B2B capabilities of Adobe Commerce?
Did you say you want me to take this one as well? Yeah.
I think that the question was directed at you.
Oh, directed at me specifically. There we go. Yeah. So I think it's the out of the box B2B capabilities with Adobe really do stand out. They're the ones that enable the kind of, when it comes to stock, and when it comes to managing that across the B2B business, and pricing as well, really key considerations obviously for the B2B market. They're the kind of areas that Adobe really does flourish in, and that they were some of the key considerations when Party Delights came to us, and obviously with their B2B side of the business, they're the things that really stood out. I don't know, Claire, whether there's anything specific from your side on B2B that you would want to add on that.
I think probably for us in terms of setting up for the future was how it allows you to manage customers as well, and accounts independently, and all the rules that you can add in around those different customers. And we've always had quite basic functionality in the past, but you can absolutely serve different customers with different pricing rules, different distribution addresses. There's so much capability around how you can manage those accounts and those customers, which really appeal to us. And then, like Duncan said as well, the flexibility around pricing. And then probably finally, not so much for Adobe specifically, but the integration with certain partners. So we've just integrated with Hakodo into the Adobe platform, which is effectively, I'm going to describe it as a clear pay for B2B, Duncan. It's the only way I can think to describe it. But again, like for our smaller B2B sites, where it's more been an e-commerce offering, to have that credit offering has been fantastic. So again, that Gene have been fantastic in working with us on that integration. But yeah, there's a lot of flexibility on the B2B side to allow you to properly service different types of customers at different levels and different countries as well. Like we do operate both across the UK and Europe as well on a B2B front. So there's that flexibility around currencies as well, and how you have different views for different markets in terms of pricing.
Definitely. And just to add to that, I know this is a really annoying thing to say, but our roadmap for next year and what the company are looking to do is really focus on B2B. So I know there's lots of exciting features and changes on the B2B focus for next year. But yeah, like I say, I can't say too much now, but I'm sure we'll announce some more features and changes in the new year. So keep your eyes peeled. But I think that kind of that finalises the webinar. It doesn't look like we've got any further questions. If you do have anything else, anyone on this call, if you have any further questions for either myself, Duncan, Claire or Mairead, please do reach out. We'd love to chat to you and answer any further questions. I just want to say a massive thank you to Claire and Duncan. You've been absolutely great, and all those insights have been super interesting and really useful, hopefully for everyone else on the call.
Cool. Yeah, and thanks for hosting, Mary, and thanks for Mairead and all of her team for the input as well.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's been really interesting.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll send the recording to you via email.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.